All right, I want to do a quick video on the mental rewiring of recovery because it's hard. It doesn't happen overnight, and sadly, we can't really rush it. We can make it so that it can happen as fast as possible by being consistent and really, really committed to your recovery and not letting the thoughts that you have change your behaviors or your actions. But it does take time. And for everybody, that's going to be different. So everyone's recovery is going to look differently. There's no timeline. Somebody could be a 10 out of 10 committed, and this person could be a 10 out of 10 committed, and it might take them 6 months to rewire their brain and them 2 years. And there's no rhyme or reason behind that. But the way that you can optimize that being, like I said, the fastest way possible is by being consistent and being really, really committed. So we talk a lot about like having these thoughts from the eating disorder, right? And when they come in, recognizing them is the first step. You've got to acknowledge the fact that this is coming from an eating disorder that I have. This is not me. This isn't in line with my values. This is tearing me down and making me feel awful. So you recognize that, you become aware of it, and you can either write it down in a journal, you can write it down on your phone if you're out and about or you're busy and you don't have time to journal every day. But being able to get that out in words on paper or in your phone or something, I believe helps to be able to become aware of like, this is a thought that I have all the time. I'm not just going to ignore it, but I'm going to replace this thought. So we can tell you to dismiss these thoughts all day long and stop entertaining them and don't think about it. And that's good and true advice. Like, yes, definitely do that. But replacing that, I feel like, is even more powerful tool to be able to get these thoughts to stop flooding your mind. So a thought that I would have frequently, especially as I was recovering, is I look down at my legs and think, your legs are blowing up. Your legs are huge. And it would be, I mean, seriously, probably 300 times a day. I would have that thought. You can barely cross your legs now. Your legs are huge. And I would have to write that down. And depending on my mood, sometimes I'd be kind of witty and sarcastic to reframe it. And other times I'd be like a little bit more serious with like, well, you know, the size of your legs has nothing to do with your worth. It has nothing to do with your identity or your values or what people think of you. And, you know, it's not that important. Or I just be like, give me a break. So what if your legs are bigger? Get over it, you know? So depending on my mood and what I felt like saying in that response, but either way, whether it was more of a serious response or a more witty response, it just helped me to kind of get out of the looping thought process. It helped me to be able to like stop in that moment, write down what's been haunting me, you know, all day long, and then just be able to talk back to it basically and shut it down. And I would do this over and over and over. And at the beginning of my recovery, it looked like all day long I was typing in my phone these thoughts. But over time, it started to become less. And over time, the thoughts that I would have every single day stopped occurring. They stopped coming up. Or maybe they were just so fleeting. It was like, oh, your legs are big, oh, whatever. You know, that's not true and that's stupid. Who cares if they are, right? And so being able to just quickly recognize it and then push it aside was so helpful for me. And so I think oftentimes in recovery, and I see this so much with my clients, is this fear of the unknown as they commit to recovery and as they go through all of the steps of eating unrestrictedly and they're stopping their compulsive movement, and as they're really trying to work on the compulsive or the OCD behaviors, they're trying to break routines, but their brain doesn't feel like their brain's rewiring, and they panic and they're freaking out. And I have to remind them, like, okay, it takes time. So initially at the beginning, it's gonna be really, really scary because you're gonna have all the fears and the anxieties that the eating disorder throws up that are, you know, like can feel extremely overwhelming and anxiety provoking. But you have to get past that. You have to keep pushing until you do start feeling. And this is months. This can be months and months and months. This isn't like just be brave for a week. This is like you need to dig really deep and be very committed for an extended period of time before you feel like your thoughts are going to start changing. Your brain needs to trust the fact that you're going to keep eating regardless of how you feel about your body. Because if you're going from day to day, let's say you have a great body image day and you're challenging yourself to pizza and your fear foods and you're eating a lot and everything's flowing great, right? And then you wake up the next morning and you're really bloated and you're uncomfortable and you feel like your body's changing too fast. And what do? You restrict, you don't eat breakfast. And then you kind of skip on lunch and you're kind of grazing throughout the day and you're not really letting yourself eat, right? And then, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm starting to feel a little less bloated. Like I feel like I'm feeling like I can get back on track tomorrow and I can, really be unrestricted again. And then you go, do you see this pattern that so many people fall into? If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so me, you're not alone in that. But people who are following that pattern in their recovery are taking a step forward and a step back. And why aren't they getting anywhere? Why isn't their brain changing? Why aren't things rewiring? That's why. And so you have to be committed, regardless of your thoughts, regardless of how you feel about your body. You have to commit to being 100%. I am doing this. It doesn't matter if I'm having a good body image day or not. It doesn't matter if I feel bloated. It doesn't matter if someone made a comment that made me feel uncomfortable or triggered me. I'm eating unrestrictedly every day, and I'm not giving into compulsive exercise or movement. And I'm not going to give into my old rituals and routines because I want to recover. I want to recover. I want to stop doing this cycle. And so the rewiring message that I have for you today is it takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes commitment and trust, because you don't know for sure, but you can trust people who have done this, who have recovered, like myself and like so many other people that you probably are watching on YouTube, or other coaches if you're working with someone else who have fully recovered and who have told you the same thing. So trust, please, 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 please trust that your brain will change. It will be forced to change. It'll have to change, but it will take time and it'll take some patience. So that's my message today.